Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I wanted to go over the build that I've done the majority of my XP farming with in Season 17, and that's a Legacy of Nightmares Carnevil build. I'm currently at 1147 Paragon, we're about 2 weeks into the season, and the majority of my XP farming has been solo. So a few things to keep in mind. First up, in Season 17, the Legacy of Nightmares is the seasonal theme, which means that each character has the Legacy of Nightmares buff at all times without wearing the Litany of the Undaunted and Wailing Host rings. This frees up 2 extra ring slots and makes the build much more powerful. So basically, how Legacy of Nightmares works is each ancient item that you're wearing gives you a 750% damage increase and a 4% damage reduction increase, as long as you don't have any other set bonuses. Also, the Carnevil and Dagger of Darts have both been buffed in this season. So now with the Carnevil, 10 fetishes closest to you will shoot a powerful poison dart. That's up from 5. And then the Dagger of Darts, they added a damage multiplier to that goes up to 500%. So your poison darts, your fetish's poison darts still pierce, and they deal an additional up to 500% increased damage. So we're going to go over the setup that I like, and then we'll go over some variations as well, and you guys can kind of decide what you like the best for XP farming. So first up, let's get into the abilities. We have Poison Dart, Spined Dart. Now, this is a physical rune, but keep in mind that the fetish's poison darts are always poison, no matter what type of element your own dart is and what rune you pick. So that's why you're going to see poison percentage on things like bracers and amulets as far as gear goes. So the main reason for Poison Dart Spine Dart is that it generates mana, and this activates the Depth Digger's Pants, and the way those work is anytime you attack with a mana generating attack, you get a damage multiplier. This also applies to the fetish's darts as well as your own. And then another side benefit of Poison Dart, Spine Dart is it pretty much makes sure that you're always above the threshold for the Aquila Cuirass damage reduction. And then we've got Big Bad Voodoo Slam Dance. Now, Carnevil is an attack speed based build, so Big Bad Voodoo giving 15% increased attack speed is fantastic. With Grave Injustice and the Engiam Sword reducing our cooldowns, this is up a lot of the time and really helps melt elites and champions and bosses. Next up, Piranha's Paranado. This is really just to group enemies together to maximize your fetish dart damage. Spirit Walk Severance for movement speed. This is the highest movement speed Spirit Walk rune. And again, after you kill an elite or champion with Engiam, this is going to be up for the majority of the rifts. As long as you don't have a really, really low elite and champion density rift, you're going to be in Spirit Walk constantly and be able to zip around the map. Soul Harvest Soul to Waste is again for movement speed. You get 25% total, 5% per stack. Another defensive option here would be Soul Harvest Languish for the armor percentage if you need it. Horrify Frightening Aspect. I'm currently running Frightening Aspect for the additional armor, but you could absolutely run Horrify Stalker here for the 20% more movement speed if you don't need that. I found that I was dying here or there, and I liked the additional armor. Obviously, you don't want to be dying. Even though I'm mostly farming experience in these runs, I want to make sure that I'm getting that extra gem up as well. Then for passives, we've got Confidence Ritual for 25% additional damage to enemies within 20 yards. The majority of the time you're elite and champion hunting, and you run up to an elite or champion, paranado them together, drop Big Bad Voodoo, you're within 20 yards to get this damage multiplier. Another option is Pierce the Veil, and you don't have to be within 20 yards for Pierce the Veil, but it is less damage, but you can definitely go that route. We're getting all of our fetishes from Fetish Sycophants. As you can see, we're not running Fetish Army in the build. So at the beginning of a rift, you want to get your fetishes up really quick. You want to get to at least the 10 that are shooting darts from the Carnevil. And it's very easy to do, especially with Dagger of Darts. With your darts piercing, you get these fetishes up really quick. Grave Injustice, again, is mostly for cooldown reduction, but you do get life and mana back as well when an enemy dies within 20 yards. And this range is extended by gold and health pickup. Then we've got Fierce Loyalty for more movement speed, 15% while you have a fetish summoned, and then the bonus is increased to 30% while your fetishes are not in combat. The fifth passive is going to be Gruesome Feast. When you're healed by a health globe, gain 10% of your maximum mana and 10% int for 15 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. When you're moving this fast through the rifts, you have 5 stacks the majority of the time. Now another option if you need more tankiness, you can definitely go Spirit Vessel for a second life, or you can go Swampland Attunement, which gives you a ridiculous amount of toughness when there's a lot of enemies around you. Next up, let's take a look at the gear. For weapons, you're going to run the Engiam and the Dagger of Darts. For the Engiam, your skill cooldowns are reduced by 10 seconds for 15 seconds after killing an elite pack. And then Dagger of Darts is going to allow your darts and your fetish's darts to pierce, and then deal an additional 500% damage. It doesn't really matter which one you wear and which one you cube. Just wear whichever one is better, or potentially you're going to have an ancient of one, then cube the other. Stats wise, you're looking for attack speed, percentage damage, a socket, then more than likely you're going to have main stat, but elite damage is also very good. And again, keep in mind that attack speed is king in Carnevil, and there are breakpoints for Poison Dart. I'll go ahead and post a link to the breakpoints in the info section of this video. For Mojos, I like the Henry's Perquisition for speed greater rifts, because really you're in Spirit Walk the majority of the time, and you're killing so fast that for the most part, you're really only going to get hit once by most things. So for this very specific setup, I like Henry's. Other options would be the Eucopian Serpent, and again, switching out Big Bad Voodoo Slam Dance for zombie dogs. You could also run Thing of the Deep for pickup radius, and you could also go with Azuni Moss's String of Skull because it rolls an extra stat. You definitely want to make sure that you have crit chance and poison dart damage on your mojo. For boots, I'm running the Illusory Boots. These really aren't necessary for a speed build with Engiom like this because you're in Spirit Walk so much, you're getting this effect the majority of the time. They are still good though when you don't have the Engiom procced. Other options would be Ice Climbers, and Firewalkers are pretty good as well for just breaking doors for you. Got the Depth Digger's Pants like we already discussed. Primary skills that generate resource deal 100% additional damage. You're looking for Intelligence, Vitality, Poison Dart damage, and then 2 sockets on these. For rings, the 3 rings I'm running are Rochelle's Ring of Larceny, gain up to 60% increased movement speed for 4 seconds after fearing an enemy, and we're running Horrified of Fear, so this is a movement speed ring. We've got the Convention of Elements, which when you really see elites and champions melt, it's when Convention of Elements rotates around to the poison. And then the 3rd ring is Unity. If you're running solo, Unity is fantastic. If you're not running solo and you're in a group playing this build, you could switch this out for an Oculus ring, or you could wear a Stone of Jordan and then either cube Rochelle's Ring of Larceny or the Convention of Elements. For stats on rings, you're looking for attack speed, crit damage, crit chance, and a socket. Unless you're wearing the Unity, which one of those stats will be elite damage. But again, attack speed is typically the preference as long as you're getting up a breakpoint by adding attack speed to an item. For the belt, it's going to be a Witching Hour, which again, attack speed. You're going to have attack speed, crit damage, poison dart damage, and then ideally you would have intelligence as well for more damage. For gloves, I'm wearing Tasker and Theos. Now, Taskers aren't as good in a build that is not running zombie dogs, because typically most people run zombie dogs leeching beasts, so the faster they're attacking, the more healing you're getting. But we're not running this here, so really all Taskers are doing is increasing the 5 fetishes from the passive that aren't shooting darts. It's increasing their attack speed, because you're going to have 15 fetishes out, 10 shoot darts, 5 are meleeing. But really, you could wear any pair of gloves that have these stats. You want attack speed, crit damage, crit chance, and intelligence. St. Archu's Gauge is very good as well for more toughness. For the chest piece, it's going to be the Aquila Cuirass. While above 91% primary resource, all damage taken is reduced by 50%. This is pretty much a no-brainer. Ideal stats would be intelligence, vitality, fetish army damage, and then 3 sockets. For the bracers, I'm wearing Nemesis bracers. Shrines and Pylons will spawn an enemy champion. This is good for progression in greater rifts. It's good for making sure that you have the cooldown reduction from Engiom. You can also run the Cumbra's bracers as well if you need more damage reduction, if you feel like you're dying too much, but it is going to slow the runs down a bit. On this, you're looking for crit chance, poison percentage, intelligence, vitality. For the amulets, you're looking at the Hellfire Amulet. This one's really pretty bad, but it does have the Gruesome Feast passive. For stats, you're looking for poison percentage damage, crit chance, crit damage, and a socket. For the helmet, it's the Carnevil. And again, here you're looking for intelligence, vitality, crit chance, and then a socket. For shoulders, Pauldrons of the Skeleton King from Act 1 bounties would be ideal. You can really wear any shoulders that you find, as long as they're ancient. Most important stat is the Fetish Army damage, and then intelligence, vitality, and then you can either go life percentage or armor. And then the final cube slot is the armor slot. That's the Mask of Jerem. Pet Steel 200% increased damage. Now, ideally, you will cube Mask of Jerem because there is a pretty wide range for the damage increase. And when it's in the cube, you always get the 200%. But if you find an ancient Mask of Jerem and you have a non-ancient Carnevil, you can obviously wear the Mask of Jerem, cube the Carnevil for the time being. For legendary gems, we've got the Enforcer. Increases pet damage, which this is a pet-based build. and then your pets take 90% less damage. We've got Simplicity Strength, increases the damage of primary skills. Now, this does apply to the Fetish's darts as well, so that's why you run this legendary gem. And the secondary hits with primary abilities heal you for 4% of your maximum health. And then we've got Bane of the Trapped. You get damage against enemies that are under the effects of control impairing effects, and then the secondary actually activates the first ability there. Another option in this spot could be Bane of the Powerful. Bane of the Powerful is going to give you some damage reduction against elites if you need that. For Paragon points, put as much movement speed in as you need until you're at 25% and then max out int. Offense-wise, attack speed first, then crit, cooldown reduction. For defense, armor percentage, life percentage, all res, then life regen. Then for utility, life per hit, then area damage, then resource cost reduction, and then gold find. So anyways, that'll about wrap it up, guys. Hope you're having a blast in Season 17. I've been having a great time playing Carnevil again. It's one of my all-time favorite builds, and I hope you are too. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.